Morning, everyone. This is Al Rody. This is 8 for 8. It's a beautiful day in downtown Halifax, Nova Scotia. I'm sitting in the Hydrostone area of Halifax, and if I were to be outside, you would see beautiful trees and boulevards. We've got one-way streets that have boulevard in the middle of them, so it goes down one way and then it comes back up the other way. Beautiful stone homes that are mostly attached townhouses that were built shortly after the Halifax explosion, as this area was leveled when the Halifax explosion occurred. And so it's a really nice area of town. There's a lot of quaint little shops, and it kind of feels New Englandy. So anyway, today I want to talk about being of service. Now, this idea has been showing up in my awareness. Not that it hasn't been in my awareness all along, but lately we've been talking quite a bit about it over the last, Paul and I especially over the last couple of weeks. And he had an experience where he saw a man speak at a church in St. John, New Brunswick, and the man talked about being of service to improve um, business and to improve government and to improve life in general. And he told a story about a man who had a business and he wanted to be able to, he was currently giving back 10% of his profits or 10% of his revenue um, to charity. And the man said, I'd really like to be able to give back 90% of his charity. And this other man who was giving the talk said that within 3 years he was able to be giving back 90% of his revenues to charity and was still making more money than he ever dreamed possible. He started paying all of his employees the exact same wage across the board because he felt that each one of his employees was of service to his business. And so it started with the janitor who was just so keen for his business and was so helpful and so delightful as a man and so supportive of all the other people in the organization, and everybody loved the janitor. But how do you justify paying a janitor the same as your top salesperson or your CEO? And so the man decided that it was about the service that the man brought to the company. And so he then decided to pay everyone the exact same amount of money across the board, which I'm sure was wonderful for the janitor who received that raise. And he deserved it. And the man knew he deserved it, and he felt that he deserved it. And so the idea of being of service comes to us from a long, long way. It comes from Christianity. It comes from the Torah. It comes from the Quran. It comes from many different ideas of spirituality. It comes from Ho'oponopono, which is what I study and practice. So, what is being of service? So, being of service is really just living your life in the service of others. Now, that seems like it's a really hard thing to do, and for most of us, it will be a hard thing to do. However, I suggest that as we move toward that life of service, as I am starting to do now, that we will reap benefits and riches that we have never understood or imagined before in our lives. That as we sit around and worry about what's wrong in our lives or what's wrong with me or what's wrong with you know with my husband or my wife or my family or what's wrong with all my neighbors and my colleagues at work, we are hardly being of service. And so when the idea is to just go out and find ways to do God's work, as Mother Teresa did. I've repeated this many times on E3. All of God's children and all their various disguises. That's the way she saw the people that she worked with in the streets of Calcutta. And as she did that, she was a realized, actualized woman. She was only 5 feet tall, but she was powerful than most people ever become, who are usually much taller than, bigger and stronger than she was. And so I think that's really it for today. I think that if we go forward in our lives without any expectation, of reward, without any expectation of remuneration, without any expectation of being noticed, that if we go forward in service to others without expectation of validation for that. Well, oh yeah, well I did this for that person and I did this for that charity and I gave this and I did the Terry Fox run and blah blah blah. You start talking about it, it is really about you. Now, we all fall into that sometimes. I'm not immune to it. A lot of times I talk about ideas that I think are ideas that I put in my kind of coffer of where I want to go in my life so that I can manifest that over time. And so I do that, I put these ideas out there for you and you can choose to put them in your coffer of ideas of where you want to go. It doesn't mean that you're a failure today. It doesn't mean that you're not good enough today. It just means that it's a place, perhaps, that you might choose to go. And I'm suggesting it would be a wonderful place. It's becoming a wonderful place for me to be of service to others, to help others actualize themselves, to help others find their way, to just give of my time as much as I am able, and then some, and to see how life unfolds in its perfection. So this is Al Rody. Let's just do the quick little tapping routine that I love to do so much, and it's not really about service, but it is. Even though I'm not perfectly happy yet, I am perfect in my imperfection. I'm not perfectly happy yet, but I'm filled with peace and joy. Even though I'm not perfectly happy yet, I am asking to find that perfection and discover it for myself as I live a life of service. Top of the head. My blood and chi are flowing smoothly. I am filled with peace and joy inside out, outside out. I am free of pain and illness. I am blessed with good fortune. Under the nose, I love you. On the chin, I'm sorry. On the collarbone, please forgive me. Under the arm, thank you. For those of you who were looking for us last week, I must humbly apologize. Something came up very close to 8 o'clock Eastern for me, and I had to make a choice. And sometimes the choices aren't an easy one, and I ended up choosing the other option that I felt was of greater service. Um, and that's really actually the way I saw it. Um, we've had very, very few interruptions on 8 for 8 over the last 2 years, and I've been so grateful for your support and well wishes and comments. Please keep them coming in, and I hope you'll forgive me for last week. And I will endeavor to be on time and have 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 ideas that I've thought about and bring them forward to you over the next few years. So I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. This is Al Rodi. This is 8 for 8. Have a wonderful week. Stay closer to your spirit in order to accomplish more and work less. Thanks.